We talk football? Just football for 30 seconds?
Analytics has made a big impact on situational football. Mathematics is the language of the universe. You have to pay attention to the mathematics.
Oh, that's a bar right there.
What?
Mathematics is the language of the universe? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I believe that. I think you always got to look at the numbers. Yes, mathematics is the language of the universe.
As you will find in multivariable calculus, there is often a number of solutions for any given problem.
No one can stop a ticking clock, but the great ones always find a way to slow it down.
Come on! All right. Now, I don't want them to gain another yard. You blitz all night! And if they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm gonna take every last one of you out. You make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans.
Welcome back to Diggin' Deeper, everyone. I'm your host, Brian Parsons, and I'm grateful you're joining us for another edition of Diggin' Deeper into the NFL. Here at Diggin' Deeper, we proudly unite our love for football with our faith. As a Christian ministry, our foundation is firmly rooted in Christ. But that doesn't mean we shy away from breaking down the grit, grind, and glory of competition in the National Football League. Football is a passion, not our purpose. And with that perspective, we approach every game, every play, and every matchup as an opportunity to reflect on perseverance, teamwork, and character values that extend far beyond the field and point us back to the Lord. The 2025 season delivered unforgettable storylines, remarkable performances, and powerful lessons in resilience and unity, both on and off the field. Now, as we step into the divisional round of the playoffs, we'll dig into the X's and O's, spotlight the players who rose to the moment, and examine the defining sequences that shaped each game. From teams battling through injuries to underdogs seizing their opportunity, these matchups remind us that success is built through preparation, faith, and togetherness. At Diggin' Deeper, we celebrate more than just stats and scores. We honor character, leadership, and commitment, the qualities that matter most. Football may fuel our excitement, but Christ remains our purpose. Even in the intensity of playoff football, we see reflections of discipline, courage, and heart. So grab your playbook, keep your eyes on the Lord, and let's break down this weekend's divisional round matchups with insight, inspiration, and a deep love for the game. Let's go digging deeper into the NFL playoffs. The highly anticipated matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos kicked off on Saturday, January 17, 2026, in Denver, Colorado at Mile High Stadium, and the game did not disappoint. The Buffalo Bills controlled much of the game against the Denver Broncos, finishing with advantages in both volume and efficiency. Buffalo recorded 28 first downs to Denver's 22, driven largely by a balanced attack that produced 13 rushing first downs compared to the Broncos' 6. The Bills were sharp on third down, converting 10 of 15 opportunities, while Denver went 8 for 16. Buffalo also ran more plays, 78-68, and outgained Denver 449-349 in total yards, averaging 5.8 yards per play to the Broncos' 5.1. Despite their overall control, turnovers were the one area that kept the game tighter than it needed to be. Buffalo committed 5 turnovers, including 3 lost fumbles and 2 interceptions, while Denver turned the ball over just once. Even so, the Bills' ability to possess the ball for nearly 41 minutes, limit Denver's rushing success, and consistently move the chains allowed them to dictate the pace and ultimately outlast the Broncos. Both quarterbacks showed up to play. Josh Allen led Buffalo's offense with a high-volume passing performance, completing 25 of 39 attempts for 283 yards, averaging 7.3 yards per throw, with 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He was pressured at times, taking 3 sacks for 17 yards, and finished with a 90.0 passer rating. Allen also contributed significantly on the ground, rushing 12 times for 66 yards at 5.5 yards per carry, with a long run of 26 yards. Combined with James Cook III, who carried the ball 24 times for 117 yards at 4.9 yards per rush, Buffalo totaled 36 carries for 183 rushing yards, averaging 5.1 yards per attempt, though neither back found the end zone on the ground. Through the air, Buffalo spread the ball across multiple targets. Dalton Kincaid led the team with 6 receptions for 83 yards and a touchdown, while Khalil Shakir added 7 catches for 75 yards, including a long gain of 46 yards. Ray Davis caught 2 passes for 33 yards, and Dawson Knox contributed 3 receptions for 32 yards. James Cook III added 2 catches for 24 yards, while Brandon Cooks had 2 receptions for 20 yards. Buffalo also received touchdown receptions from Keon Coleman on a 10-yard catch and Mecole Hardman Jr. on a 4-yard score, while Curtis Samuel added 1 catch for 2 yards. In total, Bills receivers combined for 25 receptions, 283 yards, and 3 touchdowns on 39 targets. For Denver, Bo Nix anchored the offense, completing 26 of 46 passes for 279 yards, averaging 6.1 yards per attempt, with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. He was not sacked during the game, and finished with an 87.1 passer rating. Nix also led the Broncos in rushing, carrying the ball 12 times for 29 yards, while Jaleel McLaughlin added 4 carries for 21 yards, and R.J. Harvey rushed 6 times for 20 yards. As a team, Denver totaled 22 rushing attempts for 70 yards, averaging 3.2 yards per carry, with no rushing touchdowns. In the receiving game, Marvin Mims Jr. led Denver with 8 receptions for 93 yards and a touchdown, while Cortland Sutton added 4 catches for 53 yards. R.J. Harvey contributed 5 receptions for 46 yards, and Lil Jordan Humphrey caught 2 passes for 33 yards and a touchdown, including a long gain of 29 yards. Pat Bryant recorded 3 receptions for 32 yards, while Frank Crum added a 7-yard touchdown catch on his lone target. Evan Engram, Tyler Batty, and Nate Adkins each recorded 1 reception, while Adam Troutman, Adam Prentice, and Jaleel McLaughlin were targeted but did not record catches. Overall, Broncos receivers combined for 26 receptions, 279 yards, and 3 touchdowns on 42 targets. The game came down to a back-and-forth battle. Buffalo had built a late lead, with Allen connecting on key passes to Kincaid, Coleman, and Hardman, bringing the score to 30-27 in favor of the Bills. Denver responded with a final drive led by Nix, mixing short passes and scrambles, culminating in Bo Nix hitting Humphreys in the end zone to tie the game at 30-30, sending it into overtime. In overtime, Denver managed a field goal to win 33-30, completing a dramatic comeback and advancing to the AFC Championship. On Saturday night, the San Francisco 49ers traveled to Seattle to face their NFC West divisional rival, the Seattle Seahawks, the NFC's top seed, in a high-stakes matchup that carried significant implications and left little margin for error. This game was never in doubt. With a final score of 41-6, Seattle delivered a dominant performance in a victory that felt inevitable almost immediately, especially after the opening kickoff was returned for a touchdown, setting the tone for the blowout that followed. Coming into the game, there was a sense that this matchup leaned heavily in Seattle's favor, largely because of the number of injuries San Francisco was forced to overcome, an issue that has followed the 49ers for much of the season. Still, there was a belief, however slim, that if San Francisco could hang around long enough, the game might stay close and come down to a late possession. Given the circumstances, that felt like the 49ers' best, and perhaps only, path to victory. That hope quickly faded. From the opening kickoff, it was evident that Seattle had control, dictating the pace and imposing its will on both sides of the ball. The game never truly tightened, and as the minutes passed, the outcome became increasingly inevitable. In the end, Seattle didn't just win, they soared, pulling away decisively and leaving little doubt that this was their game from start to finish. Brock Purdy led the 49ers' passing attack, completing 15 of 27 passes for 140 yards, averaging 5.2 yards per attempt. He did not throw a touchdown and was intercepted once, taking 2 sacks for 16 yards, and finished with a 54.6 passer rating and a 37.4 QBR. Mac Jones also saw limited action, completing 2 of 4 passes for just 4 yards, with no touchdowns or interceptions. As a team, San Francisco completed 17 of 31 passes for 128 yards, struggled to generate explosive plays through the air, and finished without a passing touchdown. Seattle's Sam Darnold delivered an efficient performance, completing 12 of 17 passes for 124 yards, averaging 7.3 yards per attempt. He threw 1 touchdown without an interception, and was sacked twice for 18 yards, finishing with a strong 110.9 passer rating and a 63.3 QBR. As a team, the Seahawks matched those totals, showcasing a clean and effective passing game compared to San Francisco. The 49ers' rushing attack was spread across multiple contributors, totaling 108 yards on 27 carries for a 4.0 yards per carry average. Brock Purdy added mobility with 5 carries for 37 yards, while Christian McCaffrey rushed 11 times for 35 yards. Jordan James contributed 28 yards on 6 carries, and Mac Jones chipped in a short 7-yard run. Kyle Juszczyk and Brian Robinson Jr. added minimal production, and no rushing touchdowns were recorded by San Francisco. Seattle dominated on the ground, rushing for 175 yards on 33 carries and scoring 3 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker III led the way with a standout performance, carrying the ball 19 times for 116 yards and 3 touchdowns, while averaging 6.1 yards per carry. Rashid Shaheed added a 27-yard run on just 2 carries, while Zach Charbonnet and Velus Jones Jr. provided complementary production to keep the Seahawks' run game consistently effective. San Francisco's passing production was evenly distributed, but lacked explosiveness, totaling 144 receiving yards on 17 catches. Jake Tonges and Christian McCaffrey each caught 5 passes, with Tonges leading the team with 59 yards. Jawan Jennings added 23 yards on 2 receptions, while Juszczyk and Jordan James made short yardage contributions. Despite 27 total targets, the 49ers failed to produce a receiving touchdown. Seattle's receivers capitalized on their opportunities, totaling 124 yards and 1 touchdown on 12 receptions. Cooper Kupp led the team with 5 catches for 60 yards, providing consistent chain-moving production. Kenneth Walker III added 29 receiving yards, while Jackson Smith-Njigba caught 3 passes for 19 yards, including the team's lone receiving touchdown. Seattle's passing efficiency complemented its dominant rushing performance and helped control the flow of the game. With the win, Seattle advances to face the winner of the Chicago-Los Angeles matchup on Sunday night. The first of the divisional games on Sunday kicked off in Foxborough between the Houston Texans and New England Patriots. The stage is set at Foxborough for a compelling postseason clash, as the New England Patriots host the Houston Texans in a high-stakes playoff matchup that brings together 2 teams built in very different ways, yet driven by the same goal. New England enters the game as the AFC's number 2 seed after capturing the AFC East, carrying with them the confidence, experience, and physical style of play that has defined Patriots football for decades. Houston arrives as the number 6 seed, finishing behind Jacksonville in the AFC South, but having already proven in the wildcard round that they are more than capable of winning on the road after knocking off the Pittsburgh Steelers. At the center of this matchup is a fascinating contrast between experience and emergence. The Patriots are anchored by discipline, balance, and a defense that thrives on forcing mistakes, while the Texans lean on the electric arm and poise of C.J. Stroud, whose rapid rise has energized the franchise and its fan base. Both teams advanced to the wildcard round in very different fashion, but each showed the traits that often define playoff success: physicality, resilience, and the ability to make key plays under pressure. On paper, this game appears evenly matched, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Both units are built to limit big plays, control the line of scrimmage, and dictate tempo. In postseason football, defense often determines who advances, and this contest has all the ingredients of a tight, hard-nosed battle where every possession matters. Turnovers, field position, and execution in critical moments will likely decide the outcome. As the Texans look to continue their underdog run and the Patriots aim to assert themselves as legitimate Super Bowl contenders, this matchup promises intensity, strategy, and drama. It's a game that embodies what playoff football is all about: earned opportunities, tested resolve, and the thin margin between moving on and going home. At halftime, we gave an update about the Texans and Patriots game in Foxborough because C.J. Stroud had thrown 4 interceptions, but the game was still close. 21-10 Patriots. The second half was a bit better for the Texans, no interceptions thrown, but the final score was not in their favor. The Patriots were the winner, 28-16. It was a rough night for the Houston Texans in Foxborough, as turnovers completely defined the game. C.J. Stroud struggled under constant pressure, throwing 4 interceptions and averaging fewer than 5 yards per attempt. Despite throwing for over 200 yards and a touchdown, the mistakes proved too costly and repeatedly gave New England short fields. On the other side, second-year sensation Drake May was calm and efficient. He completed 16 of 27 passes for 179 yards and 3 touchdowns, taking advantage of Houston's errors and consistently making the right reads when it mattered most. The Texans couldn't find any rhythm on the ground, finishing with fewer than 50 rushing yards as a team. That one-dimensional offense made things even harder for Stroud. New England didn't dominate on the ground either, but they ran enough to stay balanced and control the tempo. In the end, this game came down to decision-making and ball security. Houston's defense kept things competitive early, but the offense simply gave New England too many chances. In the playoffs, turnovers don't just hurt, they end seasons. It makes you wonder how different this game might have looked if Nico Collins had been available. Because pairing him with Dalton Schultz could have given C.J. Stroud a truly dangerous 1-2 punch in the passing game and possibly changed the way New England defended Houston. Sunday night's playoff matchup between the Los Angeles Rams and the Chicago Bears sets the stage for a classic postseason clash of styles, where execution and discipline will matter as much as talent. With the stakes at their highest, both teams enter knowing that one mistake can swing the outcome and end a season. The Rams arrive with one of the most dynamic offenses in the league, built on an explosive passing attack and an ability to score quickly. Their offense thrives on rhythm and tempo, stressing defenses vertically while mixing in a balanced run game to keep opponents honest. When the Rams are clicking, they can flip field position and momentum in a matter of seconds, making them especially dangerous under the playoff spotlight. The Rams are number 1 in scoring, averaging 30.5 points per game, number 1 in total yards at 394.6 yards per game, number 1 in passing offense at 268.1 yards per game, and the number 1 offense by defense-adjusted value over average. Chicago counters with a more physical identity, leaning on toughness, ball control, and defensive resilience. The Bears have made their mark by slowing games down, limiting big plays, and forcing opponents to earn every yard. Offensively, they emphasize balance and efficiency, aiming to win time of possession and keep opposing playmakers on the sideline. The Bears were number 9 in scoring at 25.9 points per game, number 6 in total yards at 369.8 yards per game, and had top 10 offense by defense-adjusted value over average. Both teams held their own, with the Rams being a bit more powerful, but Chicago can never be counted out. Defensively, the Rams were a top 10 scoring defense at 20.9 points per game, number 4 by defense-adjusted value over average, elite in rushing scores allowed, was elite in stopping the run, allowing only 8 rushing touchdowns during the regular season, which was the fewest in the NFL. For the Bears, it's a different story. Defensively ranked 29th in total yards allowed at 361.8 per game, and ranked 25th in points allowed per game, but led NFL in takeaways with 33 and interceptions at 23. The Rams, number 1 offense, faces a Bears defense that gives up a lot of yards but forces turnovers. The Rams excel at avoiding mistakes, giving LA a major edge if they don't turn the ball over. So the Rams are number 1 in offense and number 4 in defense by defense-adjusted value over average, while the Bears are number 9 in offense and have a bottom-of-the-pack ranked defense, highlighting the significant overall gap. The key to tonight's game will be whether Chicago's defense can disrupt the Rams' offensive rhythm and force them into long, methodical drives rather than quick strikes. On the other side, Los Angeles will look to stretch the field early and pressure the Bears into playing from behind, where the Rams' speed and versatility become even more impactful. In postseason football, style points don't matter. Only survival does. With contrasting philosophies and everything on the line, Rams versus Bears has all the ingredients for a tense, hard-fought playoff battle that could come down to a handful of critical plays in the final minutes. At halftime, the game was knotted at 10-10, reflecting a tightly contested and evenly played first half between the Rams and the Bears. Los Angeles quarterback Matthew Stafford managed the game but did not push it downfield aggressively, completing 12 of 24 passes for 144 yards while averaging 6 yards per attempt. He did not throw a touchdown or an interception, though he was sacked 3 times, and the Rams' passing attack moved the ball without delivering a knockout blow. Chicago, meanwhile, received a more efficient performance from rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. He completed 13 of 19 passes for 155 yards, averaging 8.2 yards per attempt, and threw the Bears' lone passing touchdown. Williams also tossed 1 interception, but avoided pressure entirely, not taking a single sack, and showed poise and rhythm throughout the opening 2 quarters. On the ground, the Rams leaned lightly on Kyren Williams, who carried the ball 6 times for 24 yards and scored a short rushing touchdown, accounting for much of Los Angeles' offensive punch. Chicago countered with a more balanced rushing effort, led by DeAndre Swift's 33 yards on 6 carries, as the Bears totaled 55 rushing yards as a team, but were unable to finish drives on the ground. Through the air, Stafford spread the ball around, with Jordan Whittington and Kyron Williams leading the Rams in receiving yardage, though Los Angeles failed to generate a passing touchdown. Chicago's receiving corps was slightly more effective, as DJ Moore hauled in a touchdown, and rookie tight end Colston Loveland provided a reliable target, helping the Bears match the Rams score for score heading into the break. All told, the 10-10 halftime score reflected a game still very much up for grabs, with both teams showing flashes but neither able to seize full control before intermission. The second half of the Rams and Bears was much the same as the first half, as both teams traded blows throughout the half and both quarterbacks finishing with nearly identical passing totals but very different outcomes. Matthew Stafford completed 20 of 42 passes for 258 yards, averaging 6.1 yards per attempt. But the Rams' passing game never found the end zone. Stafford avoided turnovers but was under consistent pressure, taking 4 sacks and finishing with a modest passer rating of 67.4. On the other side, Caleb Williams matched Stafford yard for yard, throwing for 257 yards on 23 completions, but his night was far more volatile. Williams tossed 2 touchdown passes, while also throwing 3 interceptions, and despite not being sacked, the turnovers ultimately stalled Chicago's momentum and proved costly. Los Angeles leaned heavily on the run game, with Kyron Williams serving as the engine of the offense. He carried the ball 21 times for 87 yards and scored 2 rushing touchdowns, setting the tone physically and providing the scoring punch the Rams needed. As a team, Los Angeles rushed for 111 yards, grinding out tough yards even when efficiency dipped. Chicago, meanwhile, found more success on the ground statistically, totaling 160 rushing yards. DeAndre Swift led the way with 76 yards, while Caleb Williams added an explosive 40 yards on scrambles. But the Bears were unable to convert that production into points, finishing the game without a rushing touchdown. In the passing game, Stafford spread the ball around to 8 different receivers, with Colby Parkinson and Puka Nacua each leading the Rams with 56 receiving yards. While Los Angeles moved the ball through the air, the lack of explosive scoring plays forced them to rely on sustained drives and red zone efficiency on the ground. Chicago's receivers made more noise in the end zone, as DJ Moore and Cole Kmet each hauled in touchdown catches. Colston Loveland also emerged as a key target, leading the Bears in receiving yards and helping keep the offense competitive despite the turnovers. Ultimately, the game came down to ball security and situational execution. The Bears generated yards both through the air and on the ground, but 3 interceptions swung momentum and erased scoring opportunities. The Rams, though less flashy, played cleaner football, leaned on their run game, and capitalized when it mattered most. The Rams won in overtime over Williams through his 3rd interception of the night, and the Rams drove the ball deep into Bears territory. After failing to move the ball closer, the Rams turned to Harrison Mevis, who attempted a 42-yard field goal on a night where the temperatures were in the teens all night, and the kick sailed through the uprights for a well-deserved Los Angeles Rams victory, 20-17. With this victory, the Rams will meet their NFC West divisional rival, the Seattle Seahawks, in the NFC Championship game next Sunday. And just like that, we close the chapter on another round of the NFL playoffs. Before long, our attention will turn to the Super Bowl. For more than 18 weeks, week in and week out, you've been with us here on Diggin, deeper into the NFL, and we cannot thank you enough for joining us on this journey through every matchup, storyline, and headline along the way. Super Wildcard Weekend delivered everything fans could hope for. Upsets, heroic performances, and moments that will be remembered for years. While the Divisional Round may not have matched the chaos and excitement of Wildcard Weekend, it still told powerful stories of its own, from resilient teams battling through injuries to explosive offenses lighting up the scoreboard. Each game offered more than what appeared in the box score, and together we examine not just the numbers, but the heart, discipline, and determination behind them. There were difficult moments as well. It was disheartening to learn that Bo Nix will require surgery and miss the remainder of the season, and it was painful to witness yet another postseason heartbreak for the Buffalo Bills. Football, like life itself, is filled with soaring highs and crushing lows. Yet through it all, we saw the true heart of competition. Josh Allen's heroics, Drake May's poise, Sam Darnold's leadership, and the willingness of every team to rise to the demands of the moment. Leaders like Matthew Stafford and Caleb Williams reminded us what composure and accountability look like, even under immense pressure. Even in defeat, the men who suited up displayed guts, grit, and moxie, but most importantly, faith in the process. From all of us here at Diggin, deeper into the NFL, thank you for being part of this season. I'm Brian Parsons, wishing you the very best as we move closer to the Super Bowl. Stay safe, enjoy the games ahead, and may God bless you and your love for the game.